Welcome to the Omnibus Show, a program for people who are interested in everything, with deep conversations on a wide variety of subjects. And now your host, Dave Gibbs.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Omnibus Show, the program for people who are interested in everything, with deep conversations on a wide variety of subjects. Today's episode, our guest is Carrie Holle. She is the founder of the Carrie Holle Group, and she has the #1 mid-sized group in the state of Indiana in real estate. Her brokerage is Compass Indiana, which is the #1 group in the country. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, to just canter right into it, real estate is such a fascinating subject because there's so many elements to that, and we have much to learn today.
Okay. Yes.
Can we start off by learning about your milestones on how you got here to be the
Well, yeah, it wasn't planned. I wanted to be a broadcast journalist after I graduated from college and couldn't find a job. And so I settled in working with a builder in the model as a new home salesperson. And I did that for several years. And then right around 2000, we left and started our own company. My husband and a couple friends and I started what now is High Garden Real Estate, and it's still here locally. My husband's still an owner. And yeah, I mean, that was my introduction into real estate. And so shortly after we started High Garden, I thought, I'm going to have kids. You know, we were young. We were in our late 20s, early 30s. And I thought, I've been doing, like, real estate is very grueling. It's a 7-day-a-week job. And so I thought, this is going to give me an opportunity to sit back, you know, figure out what I really want to do with my life. And then after I can stay at home a little bit with my kids, I had 3 boys in a row, boom, boom, boom. There was no way I was going to go into real estate. I can't work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day with 3 babies at home. So
and getting calls at 3:30 in the morning and somebody says, should I have a red wall or a blue wall?
Yeah, well, yeah. So So I let my license expire, and I thought I'd do something more fun. Started a nonprofit, really enjoyed that, and then the market collapse came in 2008, and my husband still, you know, had ownership in a real estate company. He had offices across the country, and we had significant overhead. And I was at home, not working. And necessity said that I needed to go back to work and I needed to bring in income. And the only thing I had ever done was sell houses. That's all I knew. So I went back and I got my license reinstated, and here we are.
Here we are.
And that was in 2008, 2009. So everybody was running out of the fire at that time in the real estate industry. Lenders, realtors, anybody affiliated with real estate. And
because the market was really titanic at the time.
Because
of the financial bust.
It was terrible. Yeah. It was terrible. And so everybody was running out, and I ran in full steam ahead and really started my business from ground zero. Nobody at that time really knew I had been a realtor. That was in my past. I didn't talk about it. And so I had to work really, really hard just to get some momentum. And that's what I did.
That's an incredible story, because you had the success of getting into it essentially right out of school. And then you had your family. Right. And then you got back into it. Yeah. And here you are. You've got a great future ahead of you. And you're #1 in your group and in your division, if you will. And that's quite an achievement all around. I mean, that's just amazing.
Well, it didn't happen overnight.
Of course.
And
They never do.
Right. It was many, many years of very, very hard work. If I do something, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was no dipping my toe in.
All in.
I was all in.
You
And
jumped
so-
in the water.
Yeah. And so in 2015, I wanted to go out on my own, and I started my own team, which also then led me to open my office in downtown Carmel.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people thought it was a bad idea, but again, I'm a risk taker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an informed risk taker, so I don't
That's
do
the best
things.
kind.
Yeah, I just don't do things haphazardly. I really researched it, and I felt very comfortable with my decision. And the risks I've taken throughout my career have served me well. And so that was really the beginning of what I have today.
Mm-hmm.
That was really kind of putting me on the map, and that's really, I feel like, when everything started.
Sure, I can see that. And then eventually, as you built up, then you connected with your brokerage.
Yeah, so I started really dipping my toe in that luxury demographic, that luxury real estate market, and I felt stifled at my last company.
Sure.
I really needed. I'm a learner. I'm a business book junkie. I'm just researching and learning. That's what I do for fun.
Sure.
And so,
How to sell $1 million house in 3 easy steps, right?
well, yeah, if it were only that easy.
Yes.
So I wanted to learn, and even though I've been doing this my whole life, I wasn't getting that fulfilled, that need to continue to grow and thrive. I feel like we're very insulated in Central Indiana. Mm-hmm. We only know what we know. And I wanted to expand to different markets and learn from people who were selling $1 billion a year,
Mm-hmm.
selling, $100 million homes. I couldn't learn that from anybody here because that doesn't exist.
Sure.
So I really tried to figure out what that was going to do. I thought I'm going to have to affiliate with a national brokerage because a national brokerage has those resources. Interviewed a lot, thought about buying a couple franchises, and just everything fell flat. I just was not impressed. And then Compass came to town. They were brand new. I had been following them because I'm a lover of everything real estate. I was very aware of Compass, and didn't think they'd ever come to Indianapolis. I mean, they were going to all the pretty places like Aspen and Beverly Hills and,
Sure.
The Hamptons. So when they came to Indianapolis, I interviewed with them, and I thought, this is it. This is it. And so I was the first agent to join Compass here locally.
That's great.
And it's been, I tell everybody, that was 2 years ago, I've learned more in the last 2 years than I really have my whole career.
Wow.
Like, I'm just absorbing it like a sponge. I've just loved every second of it. And it's helped me grow my business because I can just be that much better for my clients.
So you are the success of your group, and your group have done very well. So that's something good for people who are learning about real estate, is that you've got your group, but you connect with the brokerage, and the brokerage is like finding a good investor or getting signing a contract with a record company that'll market you throughout the whole world.
Yeah.
It'll expand that market, which was it. You're telling me that is what you were looking for.
Yeah, and that's not the norm. So in theory, yes, you would join a brokerage and they would do exactly that for you.
Sure.
But the real estate industry is very antiquated and doesn't like change. And so Compass is very progressive, very tech savvy. They a lot of people call them a technology company instead of a real estate company. The marketing was exceptional. So, yes, that is what they provided to me. And as far as I was concerned, they were the only ones able to provide that in the marketplace.
Yeah, that's good to know, and that's a great connection because that just,
Yeah.
sets you up
Yeah.
further. Well, this is great, and thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll come back in chapter 2, and we'll talk about. I'm talking about that will be the educational part of real estate chapter, in which we can learn about all the different aspects of real estate, which you can share with us. So we'll be back after a brief break for chapter 2 of the Omnibus Show. Well, welcome back. And we're in chapter 2 of the Omnibus Show. Our guest today is Carrie Holle. She's the owner of the Carrie Holle Group in the real estate company. And as we go into chapter 2, there's a lot to learn about real estate. There's people going into real estate who do what you do, and at the various levels. And there's also people buying homes and selling homes. Can we learn from you about this whole process? You've when we first started talking off camera, you asked about what you ask questions of people who you interview to come on, and what was that?
Well, I interview quite a few people. Real estate has become very trendy with all of the TV shows.
Sure.
It's very flashy, they think we
HGTV,
wear our,
the whole thing.
our stilettos and drive fancy cars, which, some of us do, but not everybody.
Well, you have to work very hard for
You have
that.
to work very hard. So I get a lot of people who will come to me and just ask about getting into the real estate industry. Then the first thing I ask them is why? Why do you want to get into real estate? Most of the time I love houses. I love to help people. I love decorating. I love flexibility. Those are all strikes. Not the helping people, but all of the other things, those are all strikes. None of those should be the reason why somebody should get into real estate. It is not flexible.
Right.
I've never had a Christmas. I've never had a vacation. My phone starts dinging at 6 a.m. and goes well after I'm asleep. And so there's no flexibility in this business. Also, homes.
It's like owning a restaurant.
It is.
You're tethered
You
to
are
it.
totally tied to it.
But that would be if the person had it breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yes, a 24-hour diner, right? And then, I love houses. I love decorating. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. Houses become almost secondary. It's not about the house. It's very rare that I walk into a house and I'm like, oh my God, look at this house. Houses are the commodity. The job is education and advising. And we're advising on finances and investing and return on that investment. And yes, we are helping someone find a home where they're going to raise a family and feel the warmth and love of having that. But for me, as an agent, I'm there to protect your interest, not necessarily find you the basement of your dreams.
Sure.
And I think
They have
that's...
to know what they're looking for.
I think that's what separates the good from the great. I think residential realtors, get a really bad rap. I think...
Why is that?
Well, I think people look at us like we are overpaid, glorified tour guides. A lot of people think that they can find the information they need online. And I will say that, unfortunately, that is true for some in my industry. The barrier to entry is low. And so it's not hard to get your license. It's not hard to become a realtor. It's not hard to market yourself and put yourself on social media. What is hard is building this business and earning the respect of your community because of your knowledge and in your expertise. And I think that the other portion of agents who don't understand that give the rest of us a bad rap.
I see. It's kind of like traveling abroad for us, because we have too many people that export the bad image of the traveling American. Because I was when I was in England recently, I met a couple and I'm doing a parallel here, and I was talking with him, and he goes, "Are you Canadian?" And I said, "No, I'm from the States." And he goes, "It surprises me, you have manners."
Yeah.
And then I said back
Right.
to him, I said, you've
Right.
been watching too much TV.
Right.
And he didn't mean that to be like
Yeah.
exceedingly rude. He just like, wow, because he must have experienced a lot of people that exported the bad side of us. And that happens. And then recently we talked about I got to be the executor of my brother's estate, and one of your Compass colleagues helped me conclude that, and he was worth the money because he helped. I don't sell houses. I don't know that, and he just took me right through it, and I was happy to pay the full amount that because he was worth the service fee.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's more than sticking a sign in the yard or taking beautiful photos or opening a door for someone. I'm very cognizant of the investment that my clients are making, and I'm very forward. I mean, I've got a reputation for not sugarcoating things. I will
That's the best.
be very honest and straightforward with my clients. And so, when you're buying something, is that a smart decision? Right now, all the bidding wars, and you have to, in some instances, overpay, and sometimes that's okay. And if you want to win a bidding war, I'm your girl. Like, I'm in it to win it. I can negotiate like nobody's business, but I have to make sure that I'm protecting my buyer. It's one thing to win the bidding war. It's another thing to make a smart decision. And I need to make sure that someday when they call me to sell that house, I have done my job and they've made some money on it. If we're looking for a house that needs significant renovations, once they make those renovations, have they priced themselves out of the neighborhood? I have to be very mindful of what that whole situation looks like. And then on the flip side, selling, there's so much to that as well, and I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but
I've been through those details.
I know, but you know what? Selling the house, in
Yes.
either instance, either for a buyer or seller, that's the easy part of the transaction.
Oh, sure.
After we sell a house, it's getting it to the closing table. And I don't think the consumer has any idea what happens from that point to closing.
Sure.
And that is really where the expertise
Sure.
and the quality of agent comes into play.
Well, isn't that like a lot of us, most of us, we have a car, an automobile, or we have something, even with our house, like you have the components or whatever the term, like a heater or water issues. We need a really knowledgeable and effective professional to take care of that.
Yeah, I
because
think
most of us just don't know.
I think that's true in any industry. I think you get what you pay for.
Yes.
And I have definitely skimped on some things in the past, and I'm like, never again. Like, recently, I flew to a conference, and I'm always looking for the cheapest airfare.
Sure.
And I'm crammed in there like a sardine, while my friend who paid to upgrade, $65 to get the comfort seats.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, that's such a waste. And then I text her on the flight and I said, I would have paid double that. Next time I'm flying only first class. So I think it's true with any service that we all have worked with poor service providers, whether that's something for your house, something for your car.
Sure.
And if you want exceptional quality, I think that it's worth the investment in the long run.
Okay. I wish I had an extra house right now to sell.
So do I.
No, it's very helpful. Now, you have moved into a market it's big in our area, but most people are buying starter homes or homes of a certain economy. I mean, just the truth is that not everybody's buying $1 million homes. What would you differentiate for our viewers, like between a starter home, you know what I'm saying, a starter home or sort of medium-sized home to also a luxury market, and just a little bit about what would be a good takeaway for people in those two areas for the
Well,
homes?
affordability across the country, I mean, that's the talking point. It's not cheap right now. Carmel is kind of where I'm hyper niched, and as you know, there's very little land left in Carmel, and the land that is left is very expensive. Inventory is very low. Interest rates are very high. So you have, just to give you an example, our market really shifted after COVID. Traditionally, we were seeing between 1% and 3% appreciation in central Indiana. And that's been since the mid-90s, since I've been in this business. And that's not really appreciation. That's more inflation.
Sure.
So since COVID, we actually saw some true appreciation in this market. And we continue to go up, and we will continue until the inventory situation balances. But just for an example, pre-COVID, the average price point of Carmel was roughly $320,000, $325,000. This year, the median price is right around $560,000. So now the average, what $400,000 used to get you does not get you anymore.
Wow.
The same goes for the luxury market. So pre-COVID, there were maybe 80 houses over $1 million that sold in Carmel. This year, there were over 200.
Wow.
So now $1 million becomes the entry to the luxury market, where maybe $750,000 was prior to that. And so
we're going L.A.
We're not going that far.
Yeah,
we're not going that far.
But I mean, it's really, really going up.
It is going up, but so is everybody else.
Sure.
And then people say, well, I'm going to wait until prices go back down. This is the new norm. Prices, unless something significant happens, we're very insulated. We're in our little bubble here in Indiana, and we don't see the high highs and we don't see the low lows. Even during 2008, 2009, we stayed very steady when other parts of the country were depreciating. We were just blipping. So
we have a pretty steady community.
It's safe, and let's be honest. I mean, that's why people move to this area. Everything about it is safe. The prices are average. Property taxes are average. We don't have hurricanes, and we don't have flooding and earthquakes. I mean, this middle America that some people call boring is actually a wonderful place to live because it's easy and it's safe and people are kind, and it may not be flashy, but it's home. It's home.
We said that both at the same time.
Yeah.
No, that is really fabulous to know, especially for those of the people out there, even in other markets, who can learn from this conversation about how to pursue, whether they're buying or selling, whether they're in a starter or a medium market, or whether they're getting into the luxury.
Right.
Market.
And I would say for somebody who's looking to purchase a home, really our prices start roughly around $300,000. You might be able to get something a little bit less, but generally around $300,000. And the market really firmly stops around $5 million.
Sure, $5 million. Which tells me that we should go find a gold, some veins out west and go find a mine out there.
Right.
They'll pay for it, right?
Right.
So that is so fascinating to learn. Thank you so much. Well, that's it for today's episode of the Omnibus Show. Today's guest was Carrie Holle of the Carrie Holle Group. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Hotel Carmichael. We're shooting today from Feinstein's, and we look forward to being with you on the next episode of the Omnibus Show.
If you enjoyed this program, please like, share, and subscribe to continue the conversation. For the Omnibus Show newsletter, please sign up at theomnibusshow.com.